But yeah.
You know, the Imam talks about, and we were just talking about this upstairs, he did a whole talk. In fact, it was several talks he kept pounding in our conscience about language.
Yes.
Language environment.
Yes. Wait a minute. Don't forget your point. Y'all, if you haven't seen the movie Arrival, anybody, can I see the hands who have seen that movie Arrival? You saw it? Anybody else? He's getting ready to talk about language. That whole movie is about language. Go ahead, bro.
And especially for us, you know, and that's why he talked about it. That's why he brought this concept up, you know, because we're talking about the Quran, which is language.
Yes.
And he was talking about the language environment and how words,
Yes.
you know, in order to, because the whole purpose of words is to get the understanding of meaning and the understanding of how to apply it, and that how those words change from different environments.
That's right.
You know, and particularly when we read the Quran, because you mentioned several things. You mentioned on Friday, you know, when you was talking about the Idan,
Yes.
and Idna, the hear,
That's right.
and sound, and the ear.
Yes, sir.
But the ayat that you was talking about, the very ayat that you talked about, you know, when you hear the call for prayer,
Yes.
the word Idan is not used, right? The word is nudia, which is another word for call. So when you see that, when you start, and then if you're just looking at the English, you ain't gonna see this.
Yes, sir.
You understand? Because
Yes,
they
sir.
translate it a certain way, but when you're looking at the Arabic, you see this, and then you gotta ask yourself, well, why did Allah use
That's right.
this word
That's right.
instead of
Yes.
the word Idan?
Yes.
You know, it's significant.
Yes.
You know, it ain't just something by chance that,
That's
you
right.
know, now we know this word for call, you know, for the call of prayer is Idan, but he didn't say the Idan, he said Nuria. What is the significance? I used to ask Kazim questions like this.
Yeah.
And even
Yes, sir.
today when you mentioned about Surat An-Nas, he's talking about the heart. The word he uses is not all, it's the door.
Yes.
You know, and I wanted Imam Nasser, Imam Ronald to speak on the significance of this, because we're talking about it who whispers into the hearts, that's the way it's translated,
Yes.
but the word that uses Sadur,
That's right.
and the Sadur and the heart is two different, but there's a significance in
Absolutely.
him using Sadur instead of Paul.
Absolutely. Imam says that Sadhu is talking about the concerns. The concerns. You know, the heart. The Sadhu is talking about the chest. The heart is in the chest, but that's not all that's in there.
Right.
So that surah that says God has raised your esteem in the world. Remove that which burden in your back. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It mentions Sudur there too.
Yeah.
It's talking about so Imam says what elevates the human person is the human person's concerns. You know, if I'm only concerned about myself, that's selfishness. Now there's a healthy selfishness and there's an unhealthy selfishness. If I'm concerned about myself to improve myself so I can better serve, then that's a healthy selfishness. But if I'm concerned about myself because it's all about me and nothing else matters, then that's an unhealthy selfishness. And Imam gave the example of the Pharaoh that they discovered these mummified bodies, and the Pharaoh had obviously an unhealthy selfishness, because when the Pharaoh died, everybody had to die. The house servants, the cat, they even found mummified roaches in the tombs of the Pharaoh. So he was so selfish that he thought that his heaven was when he came back again, all that he had now is going to have it again. Imam said that's a picture of unhealthy selfishness. But so the Sadhu is talking about the concerns, and your esteem is raised up because it says, have we not expanded your breasts, expanded your chest? In other words, when it was first talking to the prophet, prayers and peace upon the prophet, and the prophet becomes an example for us, because the way that people have been treated in the world prior to the prophet coming, prayers and peace be upon him, so much pressure was on you that you could only be concerned about survival. But it's wanted that even though you're working on your little situation here, your concern is the whole universe. Because I serve Allah. And Allah is the Lord of the whole creation. So I'm not just concerned about, I couldn't be. How can I be a Muslim and just concerned about myself only? Now I may be working on this thing, how to say, think globally and then act locally. Yeah. So I have a global view, and like that, I love the story that a general that after they had gone and did their thing and conquered and everything, he got on his horse and rode out into the surf, and the water came all the way up into the horse. He said, if it wasn't for this ocean, we'll take it over there. That's the spirit we're supposed to have. We don't let anything stop us. And eventually, they were able to go to different parts of the world. And they even say in this country that Ivan Van Sertima, they came before Columbus. He said that there's signs that the Muslims came over here many, many hundreds of years before Columbus. They found remnants of Islam among the Native Americans. They have a picture of a Cherokee chief dressed up just like a Muslim, you know. So the Muslims actually did come, but they didn't come and try to change everybody. They came and they exchanged, like they did in Indonesia. Now Indonesia is the most populous Muslim country in the world. They went there as businessmen to do business, and now it's the most populous Muslim country in the world. So the Muslim concern has to be universal. The Imam said that's what it's talking about. The Sudur is talking about the concern. Have we not expanded your breast? Raised high your esteem in the world. Why? Because your concern was made bigger.
Now, that's interesting that what you mentioned about think globally but act locally.
Yes.
Because isn't that's what we're supposed to be. You know, I was reading article somewhere recently where they talked to the Imam's wife and asked them, you know, they were interviewing her, what was his expectations for the community, for us,
yes,
after he gone.
Yes, sir.
You know, and that's something that we're working on here.
Yes, sir.
You know, with our family Taleem. You know, last year we did. The theme was sustain the legacy of Imam W.D. Muhammad. And this year we're talking about the community life and the goal and the direction for the community, our specific community.
Yes,
and what you were saying about thinking globally but acting locally, if you study the Imam and nobody have done it more than you,
yes, sir.
That's what he was talking about.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
His mission, you know,
Yes.
wasn't for just us, and he says
sir.
that.
No, sir.
He said it was for the betterment of our
That's right.
people. He said,
Absolutely.
how can I be concerned for a small group of people, a smaller group, when the larger group needs what I have to offer?
Yes, sir.
So he said, my mission has always been about our people, not just for the Muslims, but for the people in general.
That's right.
And,
that's right.
But we have to start here with
That's
us. And that's what each community, that's what our aim should be.
I
Even though
agree,
these
bro.
things that
100%.
these programs that we're doing here and trying to
100%.
establish here in our own community, even though we're doing it here, we should be looking outward to
Absolutely.
expand this and to take this to the community.
Absolutely.
So like you say, when they went into Indonesia, even though we're just here, but eventually this whole area becomes affected
That's right.
by it. You
That's
understand? But that's how we should be thinking. And that was his mission.
There is a thought that one day, if things keep moving, you'll be able to make your Hajj in the United States. Because there won't be any room if it keeps growing. You know, I mean, we may never see it, but you're supposed to go around the clock, right? So, look, when we were there, the last time I went, when we were in Mount Nelson, we were trying to, we wanted to try to make the two rakahs by the footsteps of Abraham.
Right.
Brother, we had to go outside of the Holy Mosque all the way out and approximate where Abraham's station was, and it still was no room. That's how many Muslims were there. So theoretically, we don't know, only God knows. It may be one day that talking about making a trip over there, where you gonna land at? Where you gonna say your prayers at? You know? I'm saying this is how the Muslims ought to think. Think globally, universally, act locally. You know, because the journey of a 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and that's the problem. We can't go from a business I got selling clothes out of my car and go to Macy's like in one leap. It's steps, and we, like anything else, we fail, but we never give up. And if we don't give up, we might be bigger than Macy's. See? So, but you see, poor people, people who have been oppressed, their concerns are also oppressed. So our concern and our aspirations are small. Therefore, that's why we don't go and get any larger than that. And what did he say? And when Abraham discovered this, what did he say? Imam said, speaking for all human beings across time, Inni zalamtu nafsi. I have oppressed my own soul. We won't say shaitan, no. Inni, surely, zalamtu. I have oppressed my own nafsi. I oppressed my own self. I did it myself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so this is what has happened to, for example, in my opinion, African American people. Like our friend Malcolm said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. See? So they put so much of what they were able to accomplish in America on us that we can't even get out from under that and realize that America is an opportunity for us too. And Imam said, once we realize it, there are forces inside of us that's waiting to assist us to get to our destiny. But we can't get there unless we say, you know what? This is my land. This is my city. Miami, I love Miami. It's my city. It's my police department. It's my fire department. It's my mayor's office, etc., etc. This is mine. I'm a citizen. And you know, this was the last talk he gave. Shared freedom space. And he said the problem is that civilization came about because people were concerned about not just themselves, they were concerned about the environment. And so they did their part to do something. He said, and when good people stop doing that, we got a jungle again. And what do we got in America? A jungle. You got a lot putting bars on your house like you're a criminal. And the criminal run the street. You know, you got this movie, The Purge.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about that. Once a year, they let all the criminals go, and anything they do is okay. They can kill, rob, pillage, all of that, and the government supports it. You seen that movie? You heard the movie? Yeah, they got a movie like that. Now, what are they saying? Somebody's saying, whoever made that movie saying, isn't that the kind of society we have right now? Anything goes. Everything is sanctioned. Because a man says he thinks he's a woman and put on a dress, he can go in the women's restroom with my wife. Better get your ASS out of here. Talking about going to the bathroom with my wife. You kidding me? I don't care what the law say. Yes, sir.
My turn.
Assalamu alaikum.
In
In your travels in the United States, what are some of the cities or Islamic communities that have influenced you?
That influenced me?
Or you see a good example of any community?
Well, you know, I live in Charlotte now, Charlotte, North Carolina. And Charlotte is moving in a positive way. That's why I moved there. I didn't know about Miami. That's why I say I'm thinking about Miami. But they bought 8 acres of land and they built a mosque from the ground up. And they plan to build a little community there as a model. You know, build senior citizen housing and have a strip mall for Muslim businesses and apartments for others. You know, so and they have good relationship with city officials. One of the key people in the mosque administration is a police officer. You know, so they have good relationship with the police chief and I personally have met the mayor. Know the mayor personally because one of the brothers is a politician. He says diplomat. He said don't call him politician. He's a diplomat. And now he's running for the state legislature. And he's going to win because of the Democratic precinct.
Inshallah.
He's going to win, you know. But so I like it there. I think that's what we want. We want to live like that, and I see that in Miami. I mean, I'm sitting right here, and here's a woman wasn't she in the police department?
Assistant Chief. Deputy Chief.
Muslim.
Anita.
Yeah.
Najee's daughter.
Yeah. So this is what we want. Imam Muhammad said, we cannot think about planning our Islamic life without considering the life of our non-Muslim neighbors. We got to. So when we make plans to establish our Islamic life, we got to include our non-Muslim neighbors, because this is where we live. And nobody in my family converted to Islam. Nobody, except me. So I have to have a good relationship with my family, who's not Muslim. And I'm not trying to convert my family to be Muslim. I'm very happy the way they are. If they want to convert, I'd be happy for that too. But this is what Imam Muhammad taught us. His father told us that. Imam said his father never lived in a neighborhood when he did whatever he did didn't improve that neighborhood. He said his father did that. Wherever his father lived, he had his house and surrounding in great shape to be an influence in that neighborhood. And he said we should do the same thing. We shouldn't see ourselves as being separate. I like it when I see, for example, our Muslim women feeling comfortable enough that they can function in the society. And in my opinion, every time they go out, they don't have to have a hijab on. That's me. I learned that from Imam Muhammad. I saw women around the Imam, they didn't have hijab on. He said, one woman that said, well, Imam said, but what about that? He said, if the sisters are going out with their friends who are Muslim, he said, it's no big deal if they don't wear covering on their hair. What's the big deal about that? We already know women they have to cover their hair when they pray. So this is the kind of thing I believe that's going to attract women to check out what Islam is saying. Because if the sisters operate and it looks like they want to be separate and off to themselves, they're not going to attract anybody. But when you see, in my opinion, Muslim women being very comfortable in their religion, you're going to see a different attitude about our religion in the environment. That's what I believe. Yes, sir.
It sounds like a good for me to ask this question right at the end of what you're saying. Good
Yes.
segue, they call it.
Yes, sir.
How does it, I think you said earlier, Islam liberated the woman.
Yes.
Could you give us a quick expression of that? How did Islam liberate the woman?
It liberated the woman by freeing her up to be what God created her to be, and to not have a man telling her what she should and should not do. Imam Muhammad said the picture that we have of women on the Hajj, many of the enlightened scholars believe that's the way God wants it. And on the Hajj, you can't tell a woman what to do. You can't tell her where to pray. She can pray in front of you, on the side of you. She can do whatever she want to do. You can't tell her anything, because she's before God, and she's always before God, but you're conscious of the fact that she's before God. But don't you know it's still men, or you go on the Hajj try to tell women where they should pray and what they should do? Mm-hmm. I had to rescue a guy from my wife. She was about to do him in, but he trying to act like she shouldn't be where she was. My wife, she getting ready to jump on it. So yes, so that's, to me, that's how Islam has liberated the woman. And that's how Islam, the way the Prophet brought the Quran, liberated the human person. Because when the Prophet received the revelation of Quran, the majority of the world's human beings were oppressed. How were they oppressed? They were slaves. They were slaves to the culture, to the society, to the concepts of what a human being should be, etc., etc. And they thought that they could not be anything except what was relegated to them. God doesn't want that. We should have the freedom in an Islamic society. Man and woman can aspire to be president or ruler. Is that right or wrong? Mm-hmm. Yeah, in our religion. And in Pakistan, we've had a woman ruler. In Bangladesh, we had a woman ruler. Well, what other religion can boast that? Some can, but most can't. Well, Great Britain, Germany, can, but we got this